Picture a bustling city on a weekday morning, the sidewalks flooded with people rushing to get to work or to appointments. Now imagine this at a microscopic level and you have an idea of what the microbiome looks like inside our bodies, consisting of trillions of microorganisms, also called microbiota or microbes, of thousands of different species. 1. These include not only bacteria but fungi, parasites, and viruses. In a healthy person, these bugs coexist peacefully, with the largest numbers found in the small and large intestines but also throughout the body. The microbiome is even labeled a supporting organ because it plays so many key roles in promoting the smooth daily operations of the human body. Each person has an entirely unique network of microbiota that is originally determined by one's DNA. A person is first exposed to microorganisms as an infant, during delivery in the birth canal and through the mother's breast milk. 1. Exactly which microorganisms the infant is exposed to depends solely on the species found in the mother. Later on, environmental exposures and diet can change one's microbiome to be either beneficial to health or place one at greater risk for disease. The microbiome consists of microbes that are both helpful and potentially harmful. Most are symbiotic, where both the human body and microbiota benefit, and some, in smaller numbers, are pathogenic, promoting disease. In a healthy body, pathogenic and symbiotic microbiota coexist without problems. But if there is a disturbance in that balance brought on by infectious illnesses, certain diets, or the prolonged use of antibiotics or other bacteria-destroying medications, dysbiosis occurs, stopping these normal interactions. As a result, the body may become more susceptible to disease. How microbiota benefit the body? Microbiota stimulate the immune system, break down potentially toxic food compounds, and synthesize certain vitamins and amino acids, too, including the B vitamins and vitamin K. For example, the key enzymes needed to form vitamin B12 are only found in bacteria, not in plants and animals. 3. Sugars like table sugar and lactose, milk sugar, are quickly absorbed in the upper part of the small intestine, but more complex carbohydrates like starches and fibers are not as easily digested and may travel lower to the large intestine. There, the microbiota help to break down these compounds with their digestive enzymes. The fermentation of indigestible fibers causes the production of short-chain fatty acids, SCFA, that can be used by the body as a nutrient source but also play an important role in muscle function and possibly the prevention of chronic diseases, including certain cancers and bowel disorders. Clinical studies have shown that SCFA may be useful in the treatment of ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and antibiotic-associated diarrhea. 2. The microbiota of a healthy person will also provide protection from pathogenic organisms that enter the body, such as through drinking or eating contaminated water or food. Large families of bacteria found in the human gut include Prevotella, Ruminococcus, Bacteroides, and Firmicutes. 4. In the colon, a low-oxygen environment, you will find the anaerobic bacteria Peptostreptococcus, Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus, and Clostridium. 4. These microbes are believed to prevent the overgrowth of harmful bacteria by competing for nutrients and attachment sites to the mucous membranes of the gut, a major site of immune activity and production of antimicrobial proteins. 5. 6. The role of probiotics. Vitamin capsules. If microbiota are so vital to our health, how can we ensure that we have enough or the right types? You may be familiar with probiotics or perhaps already using them. These are either foods that naturally contain microbiota, or supplement pills that contain live active bacteria advertised to promote digestive health. Probiotic supplement sales exceeded $35 billion in 2015, with a projected increase to $65 billion by 2024. Whether you believe the health claims or think they are yet another snake oil scam, they make up a multi-billion-dollar industry that is evolving in tandem with quickly emerging research. Dr. Alan Walker, professor of nutrition at the Harvard Chan School of Public Health and Harvard Medical School, believes that although published research is conflicting, there are specific situations where probiotic supplements may be helpful. Probiotics can be most effective at both ends of the age spectrum, because that's when your microbes aren't as robust as they normally are, Walker explains. You can influence this huge bacterial colonization process more effectively with probiotics during these periods. He also notes situations of stress to the body where probiotics may be helpful, such as reducing severity of diarrhea after exposure to pathogens, or replenishing normal bacteria in the intestine after a patient uses antibiotics. Still, Walker emphasizes that these are all circumstances where there's a disruption of balance within the intestine. If you're dealing with a healthy adult or older child who isn't on antibiotics, I don't think giving a probiotic is going to be that effective in generally helping their health. Because probiotics fall under the category of supplements and not food, they are not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration in the U.S. This means that unless the supplement company voluntarily discloses information on quality, such as carrying the USP, U.S. Pharmacopeal Convention, seal that provides standards for quality and purity, a probiotic pill may not contain the amounts listed on the label or even guarantee that the bacteria are alive and active at the time of use. Can diet affect one's microbiota? In addition to family genes, environment, and medication use, diet plays a large role in determining what kinds of microbiota live in the colon. 2. All of these factors create a unique microbiome from person to person. A high-fiber diet in particular affects the type and amount of microbiota in the intestines. Dietary fiber can only be broken down and fermented by enzymes from microbiota living in the colon. Short-chain fatty acids, SCFA, are released as a result of fermentation. This lowers the pH of the colon, which in turn determines the type of microbiota present that would survive in this acidic environment. The lower pH limits the growth of some harmful bacteria like Clostridium difficile. Growing research on SCFA explores their wide-ranging effects on health, including stimulating immune cell activity and maintaining normal blood levels of glucose and cholesterol. Asparagus in grocery store foods that support increased levels of SCFA are indigestible carbohydrates and fibers such as inulin, resistant starches, gums, pectins, and fructooligosaccharides. These fibers are sometimes called prebiotics because they feed our beneficial microbiota. Although there are supplements containing prebiotic fibers, there are many healthful foods naturally containing prebiotics. The highest amounts are found in raw versions of the following: garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, Jerusalem artichokes, dandelion greens, bananas, and seaweed. In general, fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains like wheat, oats, and barley are all good sources of prebiotic fibers. Be aware that a high intake of prebiotic foods, especially if introduced suddenly, can increase gas production, flatulence, and bloating. Individuals with gastrointestinal sensitivities such as irritable bowel syndrome should introduce these foods in small amounts to first assess tolerance. With continued use, tolerance may improve with fewer side effects. If one does not have food sensitivities, it is important to gradually implement a high-fiber diet because a low-fiber diet may not only reduce the amount of beneficial microbiota, but increase the growth of pathogenic bacteria that thrive in a lower acidic environment. Probiotic foods contain beneficial, live microbiota that may further alter one's microbiome. These include fermented foods like kefir, yogurt with live active cultures, pickled vegetables, tempeh, kombucha tea, kimchi, miso, and sauerkraut. Future areas of research. The microbiome is a living dynamic environment where the relative abundance of species may fluctuate daily, weekly, and monthly depending on diet, medication, exercise, and a host of other environmental exposures. However, scientists are still in the early stages of understanding the microbiome's broad role in health and the extent of problems that can occur from an interruption in the normal interactions between the microbiome and its host. 7. Some current research topics. How the microbiome and their metabolites, substances produced by metabolism, influence human health and disease. What factors influence the framework and balance of one's microbiome? The development of probiotics as a functional food and addressing regulatory issues. Specific areas of interest. Factors that affect the microbiome of pregnant women, infants, and the pediatric population. Manipulating microbes to resist disease and respond better to treatments. Differences in the microbiome between healthy individuals and those with chronic disease such as diabetes, gastrointestinal diseases, obesity, cancers, and cardiovascular disease. Developing diagnostic biomarkers from the microbiome to identify diseases before they develop. Alteration of the microbiome through transplantation of microbes between individuals, example, fecal transplantation. What should I eat? Using Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate as a guide, we recommend eating mostly vegetables, fruit, and whole grains, healthy fats, and healthy proteins. We suggest drinking water instead of sugary beverages, and we also address common dietary concerns such as salt and sodium, vitamins, and alcohol. It's also important to stay active and maintain a healthy weight. The main message: focus on diet quality. The type of carbohydrate in the diet is more important than the amount of carbohydrate in the diet, because some sources of carbohydrate, like vegetables, other than potatoes, fruits, whole grains, and beans, are healthier than others. The Healthy Eating Plate also advises consumers to avoid sugary beverages, a major source of calories, usually with little nutritional value, in the American diet. The Healthy Eating Plate encourages consumers to use healthy oils, and it does not set a maximum on the percentage of calories people should get each day from healthy sources of fat. In this way, the Healthy Eating Plate recommends the opposite of the low-fat message promoted for decades by the USDA. The Healthy Eating Plate summarizes the best evidence-based dietary information available today. As nutrition researchers are continually discovering valuable information, the Healthy Eating Plate will be updated to reflect new findings. Want to learn more? Use the Healthy Eating Plate and Healthy Eating Pyramid, both created by the Department of Nutrition at Harvard School of Public Health, as your guides for choosing a healthy diet and creating healthy meals. To get started, here are 10 tips for healthy eating. Healthy Eating Plate. Use the Healthy Eating Plate as a guide for creating healthy, balanced meals, whether served at the table or packed in a lunchbox. Click on each section of the interactive image below to learn more. Healthy oils, water, vegetables, fruits, healthy protein, whole grains. Looking for a printable copy? Download one here, and hang it on your refrigerator to serve as a daily reminder when planning and preparing your meals. Translations of the Healthy Eating Plate are also available in over 25 languages. Building a healthy and balanced diet. Make most of your meal vegetables and fruits, 1/2 of your plate. Aim for color and variety, and remember that potatoes don't count as vegetables on the Healthy Eating Plate because of their negative impact on blood sugar. Go for whole grains, 1/4 of your plate. Whole and intact grains, whole wheat, barley, wheat berries, quinoa, oats, brown rice, and foods made with them, such as whole wheat pasta, have a milder effect on blood sugar and insulin than white bread, white rice, and other refined grains. Protein power, 1/4 of your plate. Fish, poultry, beans, and nuts are all healthy, versatile protein sources. They can be mixed into salads and pair well with vegetables on a plate. Limit red meat and avoid processed meats such as bacon and sausage. Healthy plant oils, in moderation. Choose healthy vegetable oils like olive, canola, soy, corn, sunflower, peanut, and others, and avoid partially hydrogenated oils, which contain unhealthy trans fats. Remember that low fat does not mean healthy. Drink water, coffee, or tea. Skip sugary drinks, limit milk and dairy products to 1 to 2 servings per day, and limit juice to a small glass per day. Stay active. The red figure running across the Healthy Eating Plate's placemat is a reminder that staying active is also important in weight control. The main message of the Healthy Eating Plate is to focus on diet quality. The type of carbohydrate in the diet is more important than the amount of carbohydrate in the diet, because some sources of carbohydrate, like vegetables, other than potatoes, fruits, whole grains, and beans, are healthier than others. The Healthy Eating Plate also advises consumers to avoid sugary beverages, a major source of calories, usually with little nutritional value, in the American diet. The Healthy Eating Plate encourages consumers to use healthy oils, and it does not set a maximum on the percentage of calories people should get each day from healthy sources of fat. In this way, the Healthy Eating Plate recommends the opposite of the low-fat message promoted for decades by the USDA. Whole grains offer a complete package of health benefits, unlike refined grains, which are stripped of valuable nutrients in the refining process. All whole grain kernels contain 3 parts: the bran, germ, and endosperm. Each section houses health-promoting nutrients. The bran is the fiber-rich outer layer that supplies B vitamins, iron, copper, zinc, magnesium, antioxidants, and phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are natural chemical compounds in plants that have been researched for their role in disease prevention. The germ is the core of the seed where growth occurs. It is rich in healthy fats, vitamin E, B vitamins, phytochemicals, and antioxidants. The endosperm is the interior layer that holds carbohydrates, protein, and small amounts of some B vitamins and minerals. These components have various effects on our bodies. Bran and fiber slow the breakdown of starch into glucose, thus maintaining a steady blood sugar rather than causing sharp spikes. Fiber helps lower cholesterol as well as move waste through the digestive tract. Fiber may also help prevent the formation of small blood clots that can trigger heart attacks or strokes. Phytochemicals and essential minerals such as magnesium, selenium and copper found in whole grains may protect against some cancers. The invention of industrialized roller mills in the late 19th century changed the way we process grains. Milling strips away the bran and germ and leaves only the soft, easy-to-digest endosperm. Without the fibrous bran, the grain is easier to chew. The germ is removed because of its fat content, which can limit the shelf life of processed wheat products. The resulting highly processed grains are much lower in nutritional quality. Refining wheat creates fluffy flour that makes light, airy breads and pastries, but the process strips away more than half of wheat's B vitamins, 90% of the vitamin E, and virtually all of the fiber. Although some nutrients may be added back by fortification, other health-promoting components of whole grains such as phytochemicals cannot be replaced. A growing body of research shows that choosing whole grains and other less processed, higher quality sources of carbohydrates, and cutting back on refined grains, improves health in many ways. For a closer look at carbohydrates, check out our carbohydrate guide. The 2015 to 2020 Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends eating 6 ounces of grain foods daily, based on a 2,000-calorie diet, and getting at least half or 3 ounces of that grain intake from 100% whole grains. However, due to an increasing amount of research showing the various health benefits derived from whole grains, and even a possible detrimental effect when eating mostly refined grains, it is recommended to choose mostly whole grains instead of refined grains. An easy way to tell if a food product is high in 100% whole grains is to make sure it is listed first or second in the ingredient list. Or better yet, choose unprocessed whole grains. Amaranth kamut spelt. Barley millet teff. Brown rice quinoa triticale. Buckwheat rye wheat berries. Bulgur oats wild rice. Corn sorghum. Be careful when choosing foods labeled as whole grains. Whole grain doesn't always mean healthy. One study revealed that inconsistent food labeling means that foods identified as whole grain are not always healthy. 2. The study assessed 5 USDA criteria that identify whole grains in a food product. 1. Any whole grain as the first ingredient. 2. Any whole grain as the first ingredient, and added sugars not being one of the first 3 ingredients in the ingredient list. 3. The word whole before any grain ingredient. 4. A carbohydrate to fiber ratio of less than 10 to 1, and 5. The industry-sponsored whole grain stamp. The whole grain stamp is a widely used marker on food products. The stamp, while designed to steer consumers towards healthy whole grains, identified products with more fiber and less sodium and trans fat but that were higher in sugar and calories than whole grain foods without the stamp. The other 3 USDA criteria had mixed results in identifying healthier whole grain products, but, criterion 4, the carbohydrate to fiber ratio of less than 10 to 1 proved to be the most effective measure of healthfulness. However, it is unclear whether this ratio is more predictive of chronic disease risk than other measures of carbohydrate quality, such as the amount/type of fiber or overall dietary glycemic index/load. Foods that met this criterion were higher in fiber and less likely to contain trans fats, sodium, and sugar. Because calculating the carbohydrate to fiber ratio may be difficult and not readily available for a consumer reading a label, the study suggests that labeling guidelines appearing on whole grain foods should be improved. Consumers should steer towards whole grain foods that are high in fiber and that have few ingredients in addition to whole grain. Moreover, eating whole grains in their whole forms, such as brown rice, barley, oats, corn, and rye, are healthy choices because they pack in the nutritional benefits of whole grains without any additional ingredients. Whole grains and disease. As researchers have begun to look more closely at carbohydrates and health, they are learning that the quality of the carbohydrates you eat is at least as important as the quantity. Most studies, including some from several different Harvard teams, show a connection between whole grains and better health. 3. A report from the Iowa Women's Health Study linked whole grain consumption with fewer deaths from inflammatory and infectious causes, excluding cardiac and cancer causes. Examples are rheumatoid arthritis, gout, asthma, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and neurodegenerative diseases. Compared with women who rarely or never ate whole grain foods, those who had at least 2 or more servings a day were 30% less likely to have died from an inflammation-related condition over a 17-year period. 4. A meta-analysis combining results from studies conducted in the U.S., the United Kingdom, and Scandinavian countries, which included health information from over 786,000 individuals, found that people who ate 70 grams/day of whole grains compared with those who ate little or no whole grains had a 22% lower risk of total mortality, a 23% lower risk of cardiovascular disease mortality, and a 20% lower risk of cancer mortality. 5. Cardiovascular disease. Eating whole instead of refined grains substantially lowers total cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein, LDL, or bad cholesterol, triglycerides, and insulin levels. In the Harvard-based Nurses' Health Study, women who ate 2 to 3 servings of whole grain products each day were 30% less likely to have a heart attack or die from heart disease over a 10-year period than women who ate less than 1 serving per week. 6. A meta-analysis of 7 major studies showed that cardiovascular disease, heart attack, stroke, or the need for a procedure to bypass or open a clogged artery, was 21% less likely in people who ate 2.5 or more servings of whole grain foods a day compared with those who ate less than 2 servings a week. 7. Type 2 diabetes. Replacing refined grains with whole grains and eating at least 2 servings of whole grains daily may help to reduce type 2 diabetes risk. The fiber, nutrients, and phytochemicals in whole grains may improve insulin sensitivity and glucose metabolism and slow the absorption of food, preventing blood sugar spikes. 8. In contrast, refined grains tend to have a high glycemic index and glycemic load with less fiber and nutrients. In a study of more than 160,000 women whose health and dietary habits were followed for up to 18 years, those who averaged 2 to 3 servings of whole grains a day were 30% less likely to have developed type 2 diabetes than those who rarely ate whole grains. 9. When the researchers combined these results with those of several other large studies, they found that eating an extra 2 servings of whole grains a day decreased the risk of type 2 diabetes by 21%. A follow-up to that study including men and women from the Nurses' Health Studies 1 and 2 and the Health Professionals follow-up study found that swapping white rice for whole grains could help lower diabetes risk. Those who ate the most white rice, 5 or more servings a week, had a 17% higher risk of diabetes than those who ate white rice less than 1 time a month. Those who ate the most brown rice, 2 or more servings a week, had an 11% lower risk of diabetes than those who rarely ate brown rice. Researchers estimate that swapping whole grains in place of even some white rice could lower diabetes risk by 36%. 10. A large study of more than 72,000 postmenopausal women without diabetes at the start of the study found that the higher the intake of whole grains, the greater the risk reduction of type 2 diabetes. A 43% reduced risk was found in women eating the highest amount of whole grains, 2 or more servings daily, as compared with those who ate no whole grains. 11. Cancer. The data on cancer are mixed, with some studies showing a protective effect of whole grains and others showing none. 12. 13. A large 5-year study among nearly 500,000 men and women suggests that eating whole grains, but not dietary fiber, offers modest protection against colorectal cancer. 14. 15. A review of 4 large population studies also showed a protective effect of whole grains from colorectal cancer, with a cumulative risk reduction of 21%. 16. Digestive health. By keeping the stool soft and bulky, the fiber in whole grains helps prevent constipation, a common, costly, and aggravating problem. It also helps prevent diverticular disease, diverticulosis, by decreasing pressure in the intestines. 17. A study of 170,776 women followed for more than 26 years looked at the effect of different dietary fibers, including that from whole grains, on Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Though a reduced risk of Crohn's disease was found in those eating high intakes of fruit fiber, there was no reduced risk of either disease found from eating whole grains. 18. Some grains contain the naturally occurring protein, gluten. While gluten can cause side effects in certain individuals, such as those with celiac disease, most people can and have eaten gluten most of their lives without any adverse reaction. However, negative media attention on wheat and gluten has caused some people to doubt its place in a healthful diet, though there is little published research to support such claims. For further information on gluten and health, see gluten, a benefit or harm to the body? Protein. A variety of protein foods, including egg, salmon, beef, chicken, beans, lentils, almonds, quinoa, oats, broccoli, artichokes, yogurt, cheese, and tofu. Protein is an essential macronutrient, but not all food sources of protein are created equal, and you may not need as much as you think. Learn the basics about protein and shaping your diet with healthy protein foods. Jump to: what is protein? How much protein do I need? It's all about the protein package. Research on protein and human health. Protein foods and the planet. The bottom line: choosing healthy protein foods. Quiz: test your protein knowledge. What is protein? Protein is found throughout the body in muscle, bone, skin, hair, and virtually every other body part or tissue. It makes up the enzymes that power many chemical reactions and the hemoglobin that carries oxygen in your blood. At least 10,000 different proteins make you what you are and keep you that way. Protein is made from 20+ basic building blocks called amino acids. Because we don't store amino acids, our bodies make them in 2 different ways, either from scratch or by modifying others. 9 amino acids: histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine, known as the essential amino acids, must come from food. How much protein do I need? The National Academy of Medicine recommends that adults get a minimum of 0.8 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight per day, or just over 7 grams for every 20 pounds of body weight. 1. For a 140-pound person, that means about 50 grams of protein each day. For a 200-pound person, that means about 70 grams of protein each day. The National Academy of Medicine also sets a wide range for acceptable protein intake, anywhere from 10% to 35% of calories each day. Beyond that, there's relatively little solid information on the ideal amount of protein in the diet or the healthiest target for calories contributed by protein. In an analysis conducted at Harvard among more than 130,000 men and women who were followed for up to 32 years, the percentage of calories from total protein intake was not related to overall mortality or to specific causes of death. 2. However, the source of protein was important. What are complete proteins, and how much do I need? It's important to note that millions of people worldwide, especially young children, don't get enough protein due to food insecurity. The effects of protein deficiency and malnutrition range in severity from growth failure and loss of muscle mass to decreased immunity, weakening of the heart and respiratory system, and death. However, it's uncommon for healthy adults in the US and most other developed countries to have a deficiency, because there's an abundance of plant and animal-based foods full of protein. In fact, many in the US are consuming more than enough protein, especially from animal-based foods. 3. It's all about the protein package. When we eat foods for protein, we also eat everything that comes alongside it, the different fats, fiber, sodium, and more. It's this protein package that's likely to make a difference for health. The table below shows a sample of food packages sorted by protein content, alongside a range of components that come with it. Table: comparing protein packages. To call out a few examples. A 4-ounce broiled sirloin steak is a great source of protein, about 33 grams worth. But it also delivers about 5 grams of saturated fat. A 4-ounce ham steak with 22 grams of protein has only 1.6 grams of saturated fat, but it's loaded with 1,500 milligrams worth of sodium. 4 ounces of grilled sockeye salmon has about 30 grams of protein, naturally low in sodium, and contains just over 1 gram of saturated fat. Salmon and other fatty fish are also excellent sources of omega-3 fats, a type of fat that's especially good for the heart. A cup of cooked lentils provides about 18 grams of protein and 15 grams of fiber, and it has virtually no saturated fat or sodium. Person making a workout shake including protein powder. What about protein powders? Powdered protein can come from a variety of sources, including eggs, milk, example, casein, whey, and plants, example, soybeans, peas, hemp. Some protein powders contain protein from multiple sources. For instance, a vegan option might include protein derived from peas, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and alfalfa. Like other dietary supplements, protein powders are not regulated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for safety. They can often contain non-protein ingredients, including vitamins and minerals, thickeners, added sugars, non-caloric sweeteners, and artificial flavoring. If you choose to consume protein powder, it is important to read the nutrition and ingredient labels beforehand, as products may contain unexpected ingredients and large amounts of added sugars and calories. Research on protein and health. Available evidence indicates that it's the source of protein, or the protein package, rather than the amount of protein, that likely makes a difference for our health. You can explore the research related to each disease in the tabs below, but here's the evidence-based takeaway: eating healthy protein sources like beans, nuts, fish, or poultry in place of red meat and processed meat can lower the risk of several diseases and premature death. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, premature death, bone health, weight control. Other considerations involving protein foods and the planet. Icon of a globe with a fork and spoon on the sides, representing eating sustainably for the planet's health. Just as different foods can have differing impacts on human health, they also have differing impacts on the environment. Agriculture is a major contributor of greenhouse gas, GHG, emissions globally, the accumulation of which is driving climate change at a rate unprecedented in human history. However, not all foods have an equal impact. Production of animal-based foods tends to have higher GHG emissions than producing plant-based foods, and dairy and especially red meat, particularly beef, lamb, and goat, stand out for their disproportionate impact. Source: World Resources Institute, www.wri.org/protein scorecard. To give you an idea, this scorecard from the World Resources Institute illustrates the differing GHG emissions per gram of protein from both animal and plant-based protein foods. 25, making just 1 pound, 454 grams, of lamb generates 5 times more GHGs than making a pound of chicken and around 30 times more than making a pound of lentils. 26, in the US alone, beef accounts for 36% of all food-related GHG emissions. 27, beyond emissions, it's also important to note that food production places an enormous demand upon our natural resources, as agriculture is a major contributor to deforestation, species extinction, and freshwater depletion and contamination. Bottom line: protein is a key part of any diet. The average person needs about 7 grams of protein every day for every 20 pounds of body weight. Because protein is found in an abundance of foods, many people can easily meet this goal. However, not all protein packages are created equal. Because foods contain a lot more than protein, it's important to pay attention to what else is coming with it. That's why the Healthy Eating Plate encourages choosing healthy protein foods. Choose fish, poultry, beans, and nuts, limit red meat and cheese, avoid bacon, cold cuts, and other processed meats. Building off this general guidance, here are some additional details and tips for shaping your diet with the best protein choices. Get your protein from plants when possible. Eating legumes, beans and peas, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and other plant-based sources of protein is a win for your health and the health of the planet. If most of your protein comes from plants, make sure that you mix up your sources so no essential components of protein are missing. The good news is that the plant kingdom offers plenty of options to mix and match. Here are some examples for each category. Legumes, lentils, beans, adzuki, black, fava, chickpea/garbanzo, kidney, lima, mung, pinto etc., peas, green, snow, snap, split, etc., edamame/soybeans, and products made from soy, tofu, tempeh, etc., peanuts. Nuts and seeds, almonds, pistachios, cashews, walnuts, hazelnuts, pecans, hemp seeds, squash and pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, sesame seeds, chia seeds. Whole grains, kamut, teff, wheat, quinoa, rice, wild rice, millet, oats, buckwheat. Other, while many vegetables and fruits contain some level of protein, it's generally in smaller amounts than the other plant-based foods. Some examples with higher protein quantities include corn, broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and artichokes. Prioritize hearty and savory plant-based proteins. Prioritize hearty and savory plant-based preparations. Simple strategies for creating filling, delicious, and even budget-friendly plant-based dishes. Upgrade your sources of animal protein. Considering the protein package is particularly important when it comes to animal-based foods. Generally, poultry, chicken, turkey, duck, and a variety of seafood, fish, crustaceans, mollusks, are your best bet. Eggs can be a good choice, too. If you enjoy dairy foods, it's best to do so in moderation. Think closer to 1 to 2 servings a day, and incorporating yogurt is probably a better choice than getting all your servings from milk or cheese. Red meat, which includes unprocessed beef, Pork, lamb, veal, mutton, and goat meat should be consumed on a more limited basis. If you enjoy red meat, consider eating it in small amounts or only on special occasions. Processed meats, such as bacon, hot dogs, sausages, and cold cuts should be avoided. Although these products are often made from red meats, processed meats also include items like turkey bacon, chicken sausage, and deli-sliced chicken and ham. Processed meat refers to any meat that has been transformed through salting, curing, fermentation, smoking, or other processes to enhance flavor or improve preservation. 18. Looking to reduce red and processed meats, but unsure where to start? Here are a few approaches to cutting back while keeping your meals satiating and flavorful. Simply find your starting point and move forward with the strategies that work for you. Eat a little less red meat, any way you can. Eat a little less red meat, any way you can. Assess how often you eat red meat, and see if one of these strategies can help you find a way to cut back a bit. Vegetables and fruits are an important part of a healthy diet, and variety is as important as quantity. No single fruit or vegetable provides all of the nutrients you need to be healthy. Eat plenty every day. A diet rich in vegetables and fruits can lower blood pressure, reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, prevent some types of cancer, lower risk of eye and digestive problems, and have a positive effect upon blood sugar, which can help keep appetite in check. Eating non-starchy vegetables and fruits like apples, pears, and green leafy vegetables may even promote weight loss. 1. Their low glycemic loads prevent blood sugar spikes that can increase hunger. At least 9 different families of fruits and vegetables exist, each with potentially hundreds of different plant compounds that are beneficial to health. Eat a variety of types and colors of produce in order to give your body the mix of nutrients it needs. This not only ensures a greater diversity of beneficial plant chemicals but also creates eye-appealing meals. Tips to eat more vegetables and fruits each day. Keep fruit where you can see it. Place several ready-to-eat, washed whole fruits in a bowl or store chopped colorful fruits in a glass bowl in the refrigerator to tempt a sweet tooth. Explore the produce aisle and choose something new. Variety and color are key to a healthy diet. On most days, try to get at least one serving from each of the following categories: dark green leafy vegetables, yellow or orange fruits and vegetables, red fruits and vegetables, legumes, beans, and peas, and citrus fruits. Skip the potatoes. Choose other vegetables that are packed with different nutrients and more slowly digested carbohydrates. Make it a meal. Try cooking new recipes that include more vegetables. Salads, soups, and stir-fries are just a few ideas for increasing the number of tasty vegetables in your meals. 5 common questions about fruits and vegetables. Have you hesitated to fill your grocery cart with colorful produce because of concerns that pop up in online articles and discussions? Vegetables, fruits, and disease. Cardiovascular disease. There is compelling evidence that a diet rich in fruits and vegetables can lower the risk of heart disease and stroke. A meta-analysis of cohort studies following 469,551 participants found that a higher intake of fruits and vegetables is associated with a reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease, with an average reduction in risk of 4% for each additional serving per day of fruit and vegetables. 2. The largest and longest study to date, done as part of the Harvard-based Nurses' Health Study and Health Professionals Follow-up Study, included almost 110,000 men and women whose health and dietary habits were followed for 14 years. The higher the average daily intake of fruits and vegetables, the lower the chances of developing cardiovascular disease. Compared with those in the lowest category of fruit and vegetable intake, less than 1.5 servings a day, those who averaged 8 or more servings a day were 30% less likely to have had a heart attack or stroke. 3. Although all fruits and vegetables likely contributed to this benefit, green leafy vegetables, such as lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard, and mustard greens, were most strongly associated with decreased risk of cardiovascular disease. Cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, and kale, and citrus fruits such as oranges, lemons, limes, and grapefruit, and their juices, also made important contributions. 3. When researchers combined findings from the Harvard studies with several other long-term studies in the US and Europe, and looked at coronary heart disease and stroke separately, they found a similar protective effect. Individuals who ate more than 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day had roughly a 20% lower risk of coronary heart disease, 4, and stroke, 5. Compared with individuals who ate less than 3 servings per day. Blood pressure. The dietary approaches to stop hypertension, study 6, examined the effect on blood pressure of a diet that was rich in fruits, vegetables, and low-fat dairy products and that restricted the amount of saturated and total fat. The researchers found that people with high blood pressure who followed this diet reduced their systolic blood pressure, the upper number of a blood pressure reading, by about 11 millimeters of mercury, and their diastolic blood pressure, the lower number, by almost 6 millimeters of mercury, as much as medications can achieve. A randomized trial known as the Optimal Macronutrient Intake Trial for Heart Health, OmniHeart, showed that this fruit and vegetable-rich diet lowered blood pressure even more when some of the carbohydrate was replaced with healthy unsaturated fat or protein. 7. In 2014, a meta-analysis of clinical trials and observational studies found that consumption of a vegetarian diet was associated with lower blood pressure. 8. Cancer. Numerous early studies revealed what appeared to be a strong link between eating fruits and vegetables and protection against cancer. Unlike case control studies, cohort studies, which follow large groups of initially healthy individuals for years, generally provide more reliable information than case control studies because they don't rely on information from the past. And, in general, data from cohort studies have not consistently shown that a diet rich in fruits and vegetables prevents cancer. For example, over a 14-year period in the Nurses' Health Study and the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study, men and women with the highest intake of fruits and vegetables, 8+ servings a day, were just as likely to have developed cancer as those who ate the fewest daily servings, under 1.5. 3. A meta-analysis of cohort studies found that a higher fruit and vegetable intake did not decrease the risk of deaths from cancer. 2. A more likely possibility is that some types of fruits and vegetables may protect against certain cancers. A study by Farvad and colleagues followed a Nurses' Health Study 2 cohort of 90,476 premenopausal women for 22 years and found that those who ate the most fruit during adolescence, about 3 servings a day, compared with those who ate the lowest intakes, 0.5 servings a day, had a 25% lower risk of developing breast cancer. There was a significant reduction in breast cancer in women who had eaten higher intakes of apples, bananas, grapes, and corn during adolescence, and oranges and kale during early adulthood. No protection was found from drinking fruit juices at younger ages. 9. Farvad and colleagues followed 534 premenopausal women from the Nurses' Health Study 2 over 20 years and found that higher fiber intakes during adolescence and early adulthood were associated with a reduced risk of breast cancer later in life. When comparing the highest and lowest fiber intakes from fruits and vegetables, women with the highest fruit fiber intake had a 12% reduced risk of breast cancer, those with the highest vegetable fiber intake had an 11% reduced risk. 10. After following 182,145 women in the Nurses' Health Study 1 and 2 for 30 years, Farvad's team also found that women who ate more than 5.5 servings of fruits and vegetables each day, especially cruciferous and yellow/orange vegetables, had an 11% lower risk of breast cancer than those who ate 2.5 or fewer servings. Vegetable intake was strongly associated with a 15% lower risk of estrogen receptor-negative tumors for every 2 additional servings of vegetables eaten daily. A higher intake of fruits and vegetables was associated with a lower risk of other aggressive tumors including HER2-enriched and basal-like tumors. 11. A report by the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research suggests that non-starchy vegetables such as lettuce and other leafy greens, broccoli, bok choy, cabbage, as well as garlic, onions, and the like and fruits probably protect against several types of cancers, including those of the mouth, throat, voice box, esophagus, and stomach. Fruit probably also protects against lung cancer. 12. Specific components of fruits and vegetables may also be protective against cancer. For example, a line of research stemming from a finding from the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study suggests that tomatoes may help protect men against prostate cancer, especially aggressive forms of it. 12. One of the pigments that give tomatoes their red hue, lycopene, could be involved in this protective effect. Although several studies other than the Health Professionals Study have also demonstrated a link between tomatoes or lycopene and prostate cancer, others have not or have found only a weak connection. 14. Taken as a whole, however, these studies suggest that increased consumption of tomato-based products, especially cooked tomato products, and other lycopene-containing foods may reduce the occurrence of prostate cancer. 12. Lycopene is one of several carotenoids, compounds that the body can turn into vitamin A, found in brightly colored fruits and vegetables, and research suggests that foods containing carotenoids may protect against lung, mouth, and throat cancer. 12. But more research is needed to understand the exact relationship between fruits and vegetables, carotenoids, and cancer. Diabetes. Some research looks specifically at whether individual fruits are associated with risk of type 2 diabetes. While there isn't an abundance of research into this area yet, preliminary results are compelling. A study of over 66,000 women in the Nurses' Health Study, 85,104 women from the Nurses' Health Study 2, and 36,173 men from the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study who were free of major chronic diseases found that greater consumption of whole fruits, especially blueberries, grapes, and apples, was associated with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Another important finding was that greater consumption of fruit juice was associated with a higher risk of type 2 diabetes. 15. Additionally, a study of over 70,000 female nurses aged 38 to 63 years, who were free of cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetes, showed that consumption of green leafy vegetables and fruit was associated with a lower risk of diabetes. While not conclusive, research also indicated that consumption of fruit juices may be associated with an increased risk among women. 16. A study of over 2,300 Finnish men showed that vegetables and fruits, especially berries, may reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. 17. Weight. Data from the Nurses' Health Studies and the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study show that women and men who increased their intakes of fruits and vegetables over a 24-year period were more likely to have lost weight than those who ate the same amount or those who decreased their intake. Berries, apples, pears, soy, and cauliflower were associated with weight loss, while starchier vegetables like potatoes, corn, and peas were linked with weight gain. 1. However, keep in mind that adding more produce into the diet won't necessarily help with weight loss unless it replaces another food, such as refined carbohydrates of white bread and crackers. Gastrointestinal health. Fruits and vegetables contain indigestible fiber, which absorbs water and expands as it passes through the digestive system. This can calm symptoms of an irritable bowel and, by triggering regular bowel movements, can relieve or prevent constipation. 18. The bulking and softening action of insoluble fiber also decreases pressure inside the intestinal tract and may help prevent diverticulosis. 19. Vision. Eating fruits and vegetables can also keep your eyes healthy, and may help prevent two common aging-related eye diseases, cataracts and macular degeneration, which afflict millions of Americans over age 65. 20 to 23, lutein and zeaxanthin, in particular, seem to reduce risk of cataracts. 24. Fats and cholesterol. When it comes to dietary fat, what matters most is the type of fat you eat. Contrary to past dietary advice promoting low-fat diets, newer research shows that healthy fats are necessary and beneficial for health. When food manufacturers reduce fat, they often replace it with carbohydrates from sugar, refined grains, or other starches. Our bodies digest these refined carbohydrates and starches very quickly, affecting blood sugar and insulin levels and possibly resulting in weight gain and disease. 1 to 3. Findings from the Nurses' Health Study, 4, and the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study, 5, show that no link between the overall percentage of calories from fat and any important health outcome, including cancer, heart disease, and weight gain. Rather than adopting a low-fat diet, it's more important to focus on eating beneficial good fats and avoiding harmful bad fats. Fat is an important part of a healthy diet. Choose foods with good unsaturated fats, limit foods high in saturated fat, and avoid bad trans fat. Good unsaturated fats, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, lower disease risk. Foods high in good fats include vegetable oils, such as olive, canola, sunflower, soy, and corn, nuts, seeds, and fish. Bad fats, trans fats, increase disease risk, even when eaten in small quantities. Foods containing trans fats are primarily in processed foods made with trans fat from partially hydrogenated oil. Fortunately, trans fats have been eliminated from many of these foods. Saturated fats, while not as harmful as trans fats, by comparison with unsaturated fats negatively impact health and are best consumed in moderation. Foods containing large amounts of saturated fat include red meat, butter, cheese, and ice cream. Some plant-based fats like coconut oil and palm oil are also rich in saturated fat. When you cut back on foods like red meat and butter, replace them with fish, beans, nuts, and healthy oils instead of refined carbohydrates. Read more about healthy fats in this Ask the Expert with HSBH's Dr. Walter Willett and Amy Moordahl Miller, MS, RD, formerly of the Culinary Institute of America. Types of fat. Avocado with nuts. Unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats, which are liquid at room temperature, are considered beneficial fats because they can improve blood cholesterol levels, ease inflammation, stabilize heart rhythms, and play a number of other beneficial roles. Unsaturated fats are predominantly found in foods from plants, such as vegetable oils, nuts, and seeds. There are two types of good unsaturated fats. 1. Monounsaturated fats are found in high concentrations in olive, peanut, and canola oils. Avocados. Nuts such as almonds, hazelnuts, and pecans. Seeds such as pumpkin and sesame seeds. 2. Polyunsaturated fats are found in high concentrations in sunflower, corn, soybean, and flaxseed oils. Walnuts. Flax seeds. Fish. Canola oil, though higher in monounsaturated fat, it's also a good source of polyunsaturated fat. Omega-3 fats are an important type of polyunsaturated fat. The body can't make these, so they must come from food. An excellent way to get omega-3 fats is by eating fish 2 to 3 times a week. Good plant sources of omega-3 fats include flax seeds, walnuts, and canola or soybean oil. Higher blood omega-3 fats are associated with lower risk of premature death among older adults, according to a study by HSPH faculty. Read more about omega-3 fats in our Ask the Expert with Dr. Frank Sachs. Most people don't eat enough healthful unsaturated fats. The American Heart Association suggests that 8 to 10% of daily calories should come from polyunsaturated fats, and there is evidence that eating more polyunsaturated fat up to 15% of daily calories in place of saturated fat can lower heart disease risk. 7. Dutch researchers conducted an analysis of 60 trials that examined the effects of carbohydrates and various fats on blood lipid levels. In trials in which polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats were eaten in place of carbohydrates, these good fats decreased levels of harmful LDL and increased protective HDL. 8. More recently, a randomized trial known as the Optimal Macronutrient Intake Trial for Heart Health, OmniHeart, showed that replacing a carbohydrate-rich diet with one rich in unsaturated fat, predominantly monounsaturated fats, lowers blood pressure, improves lipid levels, and reduces the estimated cardiovascular risk. 9. Finding foods with healthy fats is a handy visual guide to help you determine which fats are beneficial and which are harmful. Saturated fats. All foods containing fat have a mix of specific types of fats. Even healthy foods like chicken and nuts have small amounts of saturated fat, though much less than the amounts found in beef, cheese, and ice cream. Saturated fat is mainly found in animal foods, but a few plant foods are also high in saturated fats, such as coconut oil, and palm kernel oil. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends getting less than 10% of calories each day from saturated fat. 10. The American Heart Association goes even further, recommending limiting saturated fat to no more than 7% of calories. 11. Cutting back on saturated fat will likely have no benefit, however, if people replace saturated fat with refined carbohydrates. Eating refined carbohydrates in place of saturated fat does lower bad LDL cholesterol, but it also lowers the good HDL cholesterol and increases triglycerides. The net effect is as bad for the heart as eating too much saturated fat. In the United States, the biggest sources of saturated fat, 12, in the diet are pizza and cheese, whole and reduced fat milk, butter and dairy desserts, meat products, sausage, bacon, beef, hamburgers, cookies and other grain-based desserts, a variety of mixed fast food dishes. Though decades of dietary advice, 14, suggested saturated fat was harmful, in recent years that idea has begun to evolve. Several studies suggest that eating diets high in saturated fat do not raise the risk of heart disease, with one report analyzing the findings of 21 studies that followed 350,000 people for up to 23 years. Investigators looked at the relationship between saturated fat intake and coronary heart disease, CHD, stroke, and cardiovascular disease, CVD. Their controversial conclusion, there is insufficient evidence from prospective epidemiologic studies to conclude that dietary saturated fat is associated with an increased risk of CHD, stroke, or CVD. 13. A well-publicized 2014 study questioned the link between saturated fat and heart disease, but HSPH nutrition experts determined the paper to be seriously misleading. In order to set the record straight, Harvard School of Public Health convened a panel of nutrition experts and held a teach-in, saturated or not, does type of fat matter? The overarching message is that cutting back on saturated fat can be good for health if people replace saturated fat with good fats, especially polyunsaturated fats. 1, 15, 22. Eating good fats in place of saturated fat lowers the bad LDL cholesterol, and it improves the ratio of total cholesterol to good HDL cholesterol, lowering the risk of heart disease. Eating good fats in place of saturated fat can also help prevent insulin resistance, a precursor to diabetes. 16. So while saturated fat may not be as harmful as once thought, evidence clearly shows that unsaturated fat remains the healthiest type of fat. Cholesterol. Medical conditions: diabetes and cholesterol checked on a medical test result form. Cholesterol. The biggest influence on blood cholesterol level is the mix of fats and carbohydrates in your diet, not the amount of cholesterol you eat from food. Although it remains important to limit the amount of cholesterol you eat, especially if you have diabetes, for most people dietary cholesterol is not as problematic as once believed. The body uses cholesterol as the starting point to make estrogen, testosterone, vitamin D, and other vital compounds. Cholesterol in the bloodstream, specifically the bad LDL cholesterol, is what's most important in determining health risk. How fat moves from food to the bloodstream. Fat and cholesterol can't dissolve in water or blood. Instead, the body packages fat and cholesterol into tiny, protein-covered particles called lipoproteins. Lipoproteins can transport a lot of fat, they mix easily with blood and flow with it. Some of these particles are big and fluffy, while others are small and dense. The most important ones are low-density lipoproteins, LDL, high-density lipoproteins, HDL, and triglycerides. Low-density lipoproteins. Low-density lipoproteins, LDL, carry cholesterol from the liver to the rest of the body. Cells latch onto these particles and extract fat and cholesterol from them. When there is too much LDL cholesterol in the blood, these particles can form deposits in the walls of the coronary arteries and other arteries throughout the body. Such deposits, called plaque, can narrow arteries and limit blood flow. When plaque breaks apart, it can cause a heart attack or stroke. Because of this, LDL cholesterol is often referred to as bad, or harmful, cholesterol. High-density lipoproteins. High-density lipoproteins, HDL, scavenge cholesterol from the bloodstream, from LDL, and from artery walls and ferry it back to the liver for disposal. Think of HDL as the garbage trucks of the bloodstream. HDL cholesterol is often referred to as good, or protective, cholesterol. Triglycerides. Triglycerides make up most of the fat that you eat and that travels through the bloodstream. As the body's main vehicle for transporting fats to cells, triglycerides are important for good health, though high levels of triglycerides can be unhealthy. In general, the lower your LDL and the higher your HDL, the better your chances of preventing heart disease and other chronic conditions. How fat and cholesterol in food affect blood cholesterol levels. The types of fat in the diet help determine the amount of total HDL and LDL cholesterol in the bloodstream. The types and amount of carbohydrate in the diet also play a role. Cholesterol in food matters, too, but not nearly as much. The discovery half a century ago that high blood cholesterol levels were strongly associated with an increased risk for heart disease triggered numerous warnings to avoid foods that contain cholesterol, especially eggs and liver. However, scientific studies show a weak relationship between the amount of cholesterol a person consumes and his or her blood cholesterol levels. 22. In studies of more than 80,000 female nurses, Harvard researchers found that consuming about an egg a day was not associated with higher risk of heart disease. 4. 23. However, people who have heart disease or diabetes should monitor egg consumption. For most people, the amount of cholesterol eaten has only a modest impact on the amount of cholesterol circulating in the blood. 24. For some people, though, blood cholesterol levels rise and fall very strongly in relation to the amount of cholesterol eaten. For these responders, avoiding cholesterol-rich foods can have a substantial effect on blood cholesterol levels. Unfortunately, at this point there is no way other than by trial and error to identify responders from non-responders to dietary cholesterol. Dietary fat and disease. Olive oil with bell pepper, lettuce, lime, tomatoes, herbs, carrots. Diabetes. The types of fats in your diet can affect the development of diabetes. Good fats, such as the polyunsaturated fats found in liquid vegetable oils, nuts, and seeds, can help ward off type 2 diabetes, 16, whereas trans fats do the opposite. 17. If you already have diabetes, eating fish can help protect you against a heart attack or dying from heart disease. 25. Eating omega-3 fats from fish does not protect against diabetes, even though there is much evidence that these marine omega-3 fats help prevent fatal heart disease. 26. Heart disease. In a randomized controlled trial, 27, a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil or nuts, both rich sources of unsaturated fat, reduced the incidence of major cardiovascular events amongst patients with diabetes or other risk factors over a 4.8-year follow-up. This study highlighted that low-fat diets are continuing to lose credibility, and that incorporating healthy fats, such as those included in the Mediterranean diet, can improve heart health. There isn't one exact Mediterranean diet, as this eating style can incorporate the different foods, eating patterns, and lifestyles in multiple countries that border the Mediterranean Sea. However, there are similarities that define a Mediterranean eating pattern, including high intake of olive oil, nuts, vegetables, fruits, and mainly whole grain cereals, moderate intake of fish and poultry, low intake of dairy products, red meat, processed meats, and sweets, wine in moderation, consumed with meals. Cancer. Researchers once suspected an association between dietary fat and common cancers. However, in adults, the percentage of calories consumed from total fat appears to have no significant association with cancer risk, and there is currently no clear evidence linking any specific type of fat with cancer incidence. Breast cancer. In the early 1980s, most nutrition experts believed that dietary fat was a major cause of breast cancer. 29. This thinking was largely based on international comparisons showing higher breast cancer rates in countries with higher per capita fat intake. But as more prospective studies and randomized controlled trials were performed over the next couple of decades, the apparent link between total fat intake and breast cancer has faded. 30. The Women's Health Initiative Dietary Modification Trial, which was specifically designed to examine the effect of a low-fat diet on the development of breast cancer, showed similar rates of breast cancer in women eating a low-fat diet and in those eating a regular diet. 31. One study from the National Institutes of Health AARP Diet and Health Study found a very weak positive association between fat and postmenopausal breast cancer. 32. But when combined with the many other studies detailed above, the overall evidence does not support a relationship between total fat intake and breast cancer. In a recent study, saturated fat was weakly associated with one form of breast cancer, but this could have been due to differences in physical activity and needs confirmation. Citation below. Although studies of different types of fat have largely failed to find a link with breast cancer, some evidence suggests that animal fat intake in young women may be linked to higher risk of breast cancer. In the Nurses' Health Study 2, premenopausal women who ate diets high in animal fat had a 40 to 50% higher risk of breast cancer, compared to women who ate the least animal fat. 33. Because vegetable fat was not related to risk of breast cancer, these findings suggest that red meat and high-fat dairy products may contain other factors, such as hormones, that increase risk of breast cancer. Some European studies have reported suggestive findings of lower breast cancer risk among women with a high intake of monounsaturated fats, mainly in the form of olive oil. 34. 35. Colon cancer. As with breast cancer, international comparisons initially suggested an association between total dietary fat intake and colon cancer risk. But later and better studies contradicted these earlier findings and revealed no significant association. Women in the Women's Health Initiative Dietary Modification Trial who ate a low-fat diet developed colon cancer at the same rate as women who didn't. 36. Although fat intake doesn't seem to increase colon cancer risk, there is strong evidence that high consumption of red meat, beef, pork, and lamb, and especially processed meat, hot dogs, bacon, and deli meats, does increase colon cancer risk. 37. Based on this evidence and other studies related to heart disease and diabetes, it's best to limit red meat consumption to no more than twice a week, and to avoid processed meats. Prostate cancer. Although the exact connection between dietary fat and prostate cancer is unclear, there is some evidence that diets high in animal fat and saturated fat may increase prostate cancer risk. However, other studies have shown no association, while others have implicated unsaturated fats. More research is needed to elucidate any possible links between dietary fat and prostate cancer. Other cancers. Preliminary research has also linked the intake of certain kinds of fat with other cancers, though more research is needed to confirm these results. In the Nurses' Health Study, Harvard researchers found that a high intake of trans fats was associated with risk for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. 38. Vitamins and minerals are micronutrients required by the body to carry out a range of normal functions. However, these micronutrients are not produced in our bodies and must be derived from the food we eat. Vitamins are organic substances that are generally classified as either fat-soluble or water-soluble. Fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K, dissolve in fat and tend to accumulate in the body. Water-soluble vitamins, vitamin C and the B-complex vitamins, such as vitamin B6, vitamin B12, and folate, must dissolve in water before they can be absorbed by the body, and therefore cannot be stored. Any water-soluble vitamins and used by the body is primarily lost through urine. Minerals are inorganic elements present in soil and water, which are absorbed by plants or consumed by animals. While you're likely familiar with calcium, sodium, and potassium, there is a range of other minerals, including trace minerals, e.g. copper, iodine, and zinc, needed in very small amounts. In the U.S., the National Academy of Medicine, formerly the Institute of Medicine, develops nutrient reference values called the Dietary Reference Intakes, DRIs, for vitamins and minerals. 1. These are intended as a guide for good nutrition and as a scientific basis for the development of food guidelines in both the U.S. and Canada. The DRIs are specific to age, gender, and life stages, and cover more than 40 nutrient substances. The guidelines are based on available reports of deficiency and toxicity of each nutrient. Learn more about vitamins and minerals and their recommended intakes in the table below. Recommended daily intake of vitamins and minerals for adults. Vitamin, common names, recommended dietary allowance, RDA, or daily adequate intake, AI, * upper limit. Women men. Vitamin A, preformed equals retinol, beta-carotene can be converted to vitamin A, 700 micrograms, 2,333 IU, 900 micrograms, 3,000 IU, 3,000 micrograms, about 10,000 IU. Thiamine, vitamin B1, 1.1 mg, 1.2 mg not known. Riboflavin, vitamin B2, 1.1 mg, 1.3 mg not known. Niacin, vitamin B3, nicotinic acid, 14 mg, 16 mg, 35 mg. Pantothenic acid, vitamin B5, 5 mg * 5 mg * not known. Vitamin B6, pyridoxal, pyridoxine, pyridoxamine, ages 19 to 50, 1.3 mg. Ages 51 plus, 1.5 mg. Ages 19 to 50, 1.3 mg. Ages 51 plus, 1.7 mg. 100 mg. Biotin, vitamin B7, 30 micrograms * 30 micrograms * not known. Folate, folic acid, vitamin B9, 400 micrograms, 1000 micrograms. Vitamin B12, 2.4 micrograms, 2.4 micrograms not known. Vitamin C, 75 milligrams *. Smokers add 35 milligrams. 90 milligrams *. Smokers add 35 milligrams. 2000 milligrams. Choline 425 milligrams * 550 milligrams * 3500 milligrams. Vitamin D, calciferol, ages 19 to 50, 15 micrograms, 600 IU. Ages 51 to 70, 15 micrograms, 600 IU. Ages 71 plus, 20 micrograms, 800 IU. Ages 19 to 50, 15 micrograms, 600 IU. Ages 51 to 70, 15 micrograms, 600 IU. Ages 71 plus, 20 micrograms, 800 IU. 100 micrograms, 4000 IU. Vitamin E, alpha-tocopherol, 15 mg 15 mg 1000 mg. Vitamin K, phylloquinone, menadione, 90 micrograms * 120 micrograms * not known. Mineral recommended dietary allowance, RDA, or daily adequate intake, AI, * upper limit. Women men. Calcium ages 31 to 50, 1000 mg. Ages 51 plus, 1200 mg. Ages 31 to 50, 1000 mg. Ages 51 plus, 1200 mg. 2500 mg. Chloride ages 19 to 50, 2.3 grams *. Ages 51 to 70, 2.0 grams *. Ages 71 plus, 1.8 grams *. Ages 19 to 50, 2.3 grams *. Ages 51 to 70, 2.0 grams *. Ages 71 plus, 1.8 grams *. Not known. Chromium ages 31 to 50, 25 micrograms *. Ages 51 plus, 20 micrograms *. Ages 31 to 50, 35 micrograms *. Ages 51 plus, 30 micrograms *. Not known. Copper 900 micrograms 10,000 micrograms. Fluoride 3 mg 4 mg 10 mg. Iodine 150 micrograms 150 micrograms 1100 micrograms. Iron ages 31 to 50, 18 mg. Ages 51 plus, 8 mg. Ages 31 to 50, 8 mg. Ages 51 plus, 8 mg. 45 mg. Magnesium ages 19 to 30, 310 mg. Ages 31-70 plus, 320 mg. Ages 19 to 30, 400 mg. Ages 31-70 plus, 420 mg. 350 mg, from supplements. Manganese 1.8 mg * 2.3 mg * 11 mg. Molybdenum 45 micrograms 2000 micrograms. Nickel N/A** N/A**N/A**. Phosphorus 700 mg ages 31 to 70, 4000 mg. Ages 71 plus, 3000 mg. Potassium ages 14 to 18, 2300 mg *. Ages 19 plus, 2600 mg *. Ages 14 to 18, 3000 mg *. Ages 19 plus, 3400 mg *. Not known. Selenium 55 micrograms 400 micrograms. Sodium 1500 mg * 1500 mg * not determined, however a chronic disease risk reduction intake has been established. Zinc 8 mg 11 mg 40 mg. * denotes adequate intake, AI. An AI is a recommended intake when an RDA can't be determined. RDA is the average daily dietary intake sufficient to meet the nutrient requirement of 97 to 98% of healthy individuals in a particular group according to stage of life and gender. May play a role in the human body, but adequate research regarding its nutritional importance is not available, so RDA or AI has not been set.